Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US, and I'm here to bring you a live paper crafting class. Yay! We're going to do our second set of paper pumpkin alternates that I created with the August, is it August? Yeah, with the August 2026 Kindred Greetings kit. I've been creating a lot with this kit, and so I have way too many projects to share today, so we're going to go fast, okay? It is Sunday, August 23rd at 4 p.m., August 23rd, 2026 at 4 p.m. Central Time as I'm coming to you live. And my apologies again to those of you who tuned in a little earlier than it was supposed to be because I never set a time on my live and it just kept indicating that I would be live soon, right? So I'm so sorry for that. I discovered the issue like 3 hours later. And in the meantime, I'm in the background trying to work on all the information on the live. It was funny, not funny for you guys, but funny, haha, like, oh my gosh, don't ever do that again, Rachel. So let's take a peek at this kit. This is the Kindred Greetings kit. It's the August 2026 kit that just came to our mailboxes recently. If you are not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you'll want to join the crowd. It's fun. We get Paper Pumpkin kits that land in our mailbox every month, like mid-month, and we can create like this. You can create the projects as choreographed using the directions in this pamphlet, or you can tune into videos like mine or do Google searches or Pinterest searches and see what other things you can make with the supplies in the kit. Today, we are going to triple the kit. I'm going to show you how to take the card supplies from each of these three, so one set from each of the three, and I'm going to cut them and shift pieces around, and I'm going to show you how to turn those 3 into 9 cards by adding some extra cardstock. I'm also going to show you 3 other projects if we have time. All right, so let's dive in, shall we? All right, let me bring in a few extra little things that you get in the kit. So you get a stamp set, and I do want to point out, and a lot of us discovered this, that the image on the back doesn't line up with this sheet anymore, okay? The last few kits, it's been doing that. So what I'm going to suggest is that you take this plastic sheet off, ink it up, and stamp it on a piece of cardstock, and then you have your own little guide for putting your stamps back away when you're done. The other thing I want to point out for anybody who's new to Paper Pumpkin kits is it comes with everything you need except scissors. So you get adhesives like these little dimensionals and this tear and tape adhesive. Sometimes you get glue dots. You get the ink pad. You get the stamps. The ink pad that we'll be using is gray granite, but I'm going to substitute for the larger ink pad. Here it is. The larger ink pad just because it's faster for me to stamp with this. So we'll have that in here. I'm also going to be using some supplementary adhesives because I have them on hand, and so I'll be using my dimensionals. You can get them in a regular size or the mini like you get in the kit. I like using my tape runner type of adhesive. I like using my glues. This is the multi-purpose liquid glue, which I oftentimes use in the precision tip bottle, and then I hold them in my little Country Hive storage containers there. And then I'll be using some basic tools like scissors, the take your pick tool, a bone folder, a trimmer, okay? So those kinds of things are basic things that you'll want to have if you are going to be doing some alternates with your kit, right? Some extra little stuff there, some tools. And then if you're going to do alternates that go beyond the supplies in the kit, you might want to bring in like extra inks, sometimes extra embellishments, or even in this case, because this stamp set has sentiments that are more like sympathy and sorry type things, maybe you'll want to bring in something that says something different, whether it's a past Paper Pumpkin kit sentiment set or whatever. But I will be using a couple different stamp sets with this. And oh, and I wanted to point out one more thing before we start rolling into tripling the cards in the kit for our first set of projects. But I wanted to show you, this is going to be the new ink pad spot that comes in future Paper Pumpkin kits. It's a slightly different size than the current ink pads, so it's larger, as you can see. It also stores with the ink pad in the cover like our new pads. It's not magnetic, but it holds really nicely, and you can even squeeze it because the plastic container is kind of like movable. So then you can get ink in the lid. I don't have an inked one here, but you'll be getting your first inked pad if you're a subscriber in this size next month. All right, I think we have everything set up. Here we go. All right, we're gonna play around with tripling the kit. So I'm gonna bring in a third of the kit. And I'm gonna bring these tools out of the way again. Hang on. All right. If you have questions, I just wanna point out that it would be good to put them in like capital letters or put some emojis next to them, make them stand out, or ask them at the end, and I will try to remember to look for them as we go, because this is a day. On Sundays, we don't have my moderator with me. So I try to pay attention to the comments that roll in, and I hope that I catch the ones that include questions, okay? All right, so a third of the kit, a third of the kit, we're taking 1/3 of the kit, which breaks down into these supplies, and each of these would make one of the kit cards. You have enough supplies to make 3 of each card. That's why I'm saying a third of the kit. But we're going to take these supplies, 1 of each card, and we're going to cut and rearrange them, and we're going to turn them into 9 cards. The way that we do that is we bring in extra cardstock. This is actually like a popular thing. People love seeing how we do this. So I hope that you're enjoying this video. Please give me the thumbs up, or click like on my video. I would appreciate that. You can even subscribe to my channel. I am going to score 2 sets or 2 cards right here. This is going to be a card base 1 and card base 2, but we're going to score first. So we're taking our 8.5 by 11 gray granite cardstock, and we're scoring halfway at 4 1/4 inches. And then we're going to turn it. Thanks, Roxanne. And then we're going to turn it and bring it halfway at 5 1/2 inches. And we're going to use our dark blade to cut. Now we have 2 card bases, like I had said earlier. We're going to move this off to the side for just a minute, bring in our bone folder, and we're just going to emphasize those creases. I love that you guys are saying hello. I love that you're telling me where you're from. I love that you're telling me how the weather is too. We have really decent weather. It sounds like Heidi has got some hot stuff where she's at in Dallas. Sorry about that. We are enjoying almost like cool fallish weather at night. It's crazy. It actually gets cold where we have to shut the windows. Okay, so we have our card bases, and you're going to need 9 of those. So I'm going to bring in my 9 card bases that I've already cut and scored. We have those ready. We're also going to be using a couple different embellishments, and I say that with quotation marks because one of them is actually foil paper, and foil paper isn't technically an embellishment, but because of the glitz and glitter and shine or whatever that it gives, I consider it something that adds a little bit to it. So it's embellishing the card. So we've got some 1/2-inch strips on here. We've got some rectangles, and we're going to use those to accent the cards. And what else do we need? Well, if we're going to cut up the envelopes, you're going to need to get some basic white medium envelopes in order to send or give your cards. And the extra embellishment. Here's the other embellishment. Rhinestones. This is actually how they look, but I take and I cut up my sheets and I just keep sticking them into my little master sheet here. Here I have like glued on more of them, and I don't know, but this is the way they look. And so we'll be using those to add some accenting. The kit does come with some twine. It's some pretty twine too. It's got gray granite and white kind of woven in. And for the kit cards, you would be using 15 on one and 15 on another. So for our cards, we're going to be using 15 inches on one and 15 inches on another, and they're only going to go on 2 out of the 9 cards. But if you wanted to spread this out more, just know that you only have 30 inches. If you're going to triple the cards in the kit, you'll only have 30 inches of this to use for 9 cards, because there were 30 for the 3 cards. Hope that makes sense. Alrighty, here we go. Let's start with the first one. So we're going to bring in the trimmer again, and we're going to cut our envelopes. So we have one of the envelopes. This is our pattern paper that we have for the kit. The kit doesn't have any kind of pattern going on the card bases. They're white card bases. You'll want to catch video number 1 so you can see more of the kit inside and out. And it also shows you my first set of alternates. There is a link in the video description if you want to check out the first set of cards that I did, where I made my own designer paper using a stencil piece. This here, I used it as a stencil. And then we also used the envelope gradient paper to make some really fun starburst cards. So check out that video to see those projects. So to cut the envelope, I love cutting the sides first. Just cut them like that. You're trimming off a 1/16 of an inch. What you're doing is you're covering up that dark part on the trimmer, and that cuts off a 1/16 of an inch. We'll do that on the bottom as well. So, hi, first live. Way to go, Carrie. I'm glad you came. All right, and now we've got 2 pieces of paper here. This one here, we are going to cut the flap on. But before we do that, I am actually going to cut my other piece, and I'm going to measure something really quickly off camera. Don't look. 4 1/4. Okay. So we're going to cut this to 4 1/4 inches. This side. Okay. And I'm going to save that for some more cards later. This piece is now a sheet of designer paper. It does include a little score line in there. If that bothers you, you can get rid of it by just trimming it off. But we're going to include that, and we're going to cut this as flat as possible here. Okay, and so I'm going to come into the 1 7/8 inch mark. I'm going to zoom in so you can see better. 1 7/8 inch mark here, and I'm just going to set my paper there, and I'm using this line or this edge to see if it's parallel with the lines on my trimmer. That will flatten out that side. Okay? Now, if you want to make this even longer, you would want this to be narrower, because you can see that we have angle cuts on the side for our envelope flap. So again, if when we are coming up to, let me just bring card base in here. Where are my card bases? Rachel's already losing things here. Card bases, hang on. Oh, they're probably underneath all this. Where did I set them? Okay, well, Rachel lost all the card bases that she just had in front of her. So we're just gonna find something here. We'll just use this for now. They're on the table. Okay, so this is one of the card bases from the kit. So what I mean is, if you want this to go edge to edge more, you have to trim down further. You have to trim it, and I'll just cover this up. You have to trim it down further to get it to go more edge to edge because of the angle. I'm going to leave that on there, and we're going to put this back so we know where it went. Seriously. Oh, sigh. Okay. Who's in my room? Nobody. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and trim the edges up a little bit. So we're going to just trim up to that spot. And then we'll trim at that spot just to kind of make these more like a corner. And that gives us a piece that is 5 1/8. Okay, so we have 5 1/8 inches. I seriously can't find them. This is funny. I bet you guys see them too, right? If I zoom out. No? Oh, what if I... No. Are they underneath my samples? No. My gosh, do I have to go get more card bases? We need a card base. I will find them. They are here. It's very embarrassing. Live video. Okay, we're going to score this again. We're just going to make another card base. And we're going to fold. My bone folder's right there, and they're not near my bone folder. All right, so we have a card base. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our envelope pieces. So let's go back to our kit contents here. not our envelope pieces, sorry, our card bases. So let me grab some card bases. I'm going to kind of mix these all together because they're all going to get mixed together anyways. But these 3 are the card bases that come in the kit, okay? And they're all white. So what I did with one is I took and cut it into 2 pieces that are 4 inches by 5 1/4, because this is a little less than 5 1/4. It's now 5 1/8 because I wanted to get rid of the rounded corners there. I'm going to trim this down again. I'm going to trim it just another 1/8 of an inch on each side. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I want to read to see if any of you have suggestions for where it could be. I just cut them though, Linda. She goes, I do that all the time. But I just seriously cut them in front of you guys. I'm looking to see if they're in my stack. They are not in my stack. I only have one desk. Okay, so then after you've done this, you're going to add this piece here, but we're going to also add a strip of foil to accent it a little bit. And I've cut these strips differently. I've cut some strips beyond 5 1/2 inches. I've cut some to 5 1/2 inches. And then I have some that are slightly shorter. This one is made to fit here, but it's a little long. What we're going to do is we're going to flip this over and we're going to add some adhesive. And I want the darker of the gradient or ombre on the bottom. So I'm going to put my adhesive across here. If it'll roll out, there we go. And then I'm going to lay this down, put this right on top, angling it. And once I know it's in place, then I'm going to press it down. I'm going to press the adhesive onto it. Then we'll take and trim. I'm still looking for it, you guys. This is crazy. Crazy. Okay, so we have our foil on there. And that's going to get added to this piece now. So we can add some seal adhesive here. Now the second card is very similar to this first one. So I'm not going to actually walk you through all 9 of these cards, but I'm going to show you steps for most of them. This one I will walk you through from the beginning. We're going to take another piece from the kit, actually 2 pieces here. These 2 here, and they do go together on the sample cards, as we can see. This is from this little section here, okay? So we're going to take and we're going to stamp this with our sentiment and our gray granite ink. And we're going to stamp that right in the middle of the circle, like that. And there's our sentiment. You know what? That's not centered, and I have extra supplies, so I'm doing it again. We're going to do another one. Hang on. I think I have extra supplies. Oh, I do. Okay. Plus, yeah, there is a back side and a front side to these. These are laser cut, and you can see on the back side that you can see more of a brown edging. So watch that too. If you have an eagle eye, you can see that. I'm going to add this on here so I can see the outline better. And now I'm going to stamp it so it's more centered because I see the outline better. Put it against something dark and it'll help. There we go. Okay, now we're going to put that onto this piece. So I'm just going to flip it over, add my adhesive to the back side. And the kit has the tear and tape adhesive. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to first add this on here because then I can see where I want this to be. So I'm going to add that with dimensionals. Flip it over. Hello, Colleen from Las Vegas and Cheryl from South Carolina. but you're a native from Minnetonka. Hey, that's a great place to be from. Okay, we're going to put this on here like that. Okay, so that I have my branches kind of going evenly out there. And now I can take my words and add that on top. And I can look at my words before I press them down and make sure that they are straight, you know, going parallel to the top and bottom of the card. Press that in place. Add this with dimensionals. Did I go back in the room somewhere and put them down? I have no clue where I put those. I see them. They're underneath my embellishments. My rhinestone sheets were so big that they covered them up completely. Craziness. Okay, do you see this here? I can see, this is pretty obvious. Can you see both edges? We're going to flip that over. You don't want to see both edges on the front of the card. That could be on the back side. This will go here, and then the envelope other half, which is right here, we're going to cut. We're going to cut it so that it is at 3 1/4 inches on this side, or this direction. And then 3 1/4 to 4 1/4 is an inch difference. So we're going to go an inch difference on the other direction, which will make this, this measurement from here to here 4 1/2. So we're going to cut off a little bit here, and we'll flip it over, and then we'll go to the 4 1/2 inch mark and cut it. Okay. It looks like you put the card bases with the silver. Oh, you were guessing. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, they were. Exactly, Deb. They were underneath these. Look how big these things are. Of course they were going to hide them. So then we'll just put adhesive on this. And if you want to, you can even stamp on this, because there is a cute little heart that comes in the kit. It's a little heart image. So we will take and stamp a heart on the inside, because our card mentions heart. Sending my whole heart at a time when words fall short. And then you just add some embellishments on there, and you have a card that looks like this. Now you can see here, I left the rounded corners. That's because I was more concerned about the height of that piece, and I cut it a little bit differently. So if you like that little corner look, you can leave it in there. It gives you that little rounded look. But on this one, I wanted to show you that you can also get rid of it. You can make this shorter, you can make this narrower, and then it will be just a straight piece of paper. The next card. Okay, so the next one is very similar. It's using this piece here, which is a cut up portion of this envelope. So I took my envelope and I cut it into 2 sheets, and then I made this card. So this one, same idea. And again, if you want to, you can get rid of those rounded corners by cutting it a little more precisely. And Mary's the winner. And it is added onto another half card base from the kit. We have a silver accent line through there. This piece here is from this piece from the kit. And what I did for this is I just trimmed off here to cut it in half. Okay, and that's that piece that goes on that card. And then I also cut this one down because I have 2 clusters of 3 leaves, which we'll be using on future cards. So this section is right there. That's where that is, okay? This little sentiment strip is also already cut from the kit. It's a piece that is that size, and you can stamp the I'm so sorry. Notice the color that it is in. It is in Lost Lagoon. So this is where I start adding the Lost Lagoon ink. I've also stamped the branch, because you get a branch stamp that is in the kit. So I just inked it up fully, stamped it off to the side. Where's that? Here it is. So I first stamped this on here. Then I added the blue and silver over here. And then I built this up here. Same inside. Okay, so it's the other half of the envelope right here, cut to 3¼ by 4½ on the inside. This one does not have any rhinestones, but you could certainly add them. I just thought that this flourish of leaves was enough, so I didn't actually add them. Okay. So from this, we have like this half here, right? Because we only used this and the other flap. Just like the coral one, we only use the flap and the other side. So we still have this portion here that we can use on a future card, and we're going to use that on the next card. So I'm going to bring in another card base. We'll put that aside because we've technically used it already. Bring in the trimmer. And we're going to cut this piece to 4 1/8. Is the camera too close, by the way, or are we okay? And then we're going to cut this direction to 5 3/8. So now it's just 1/8 under the size of a normal card base. So when you put it on here, you can see that there's a little bit of the gray edging all the way around. This is going to get added directly on here, but first we're going to stamp on it. So we're going to bring the Lost Lagoon ink back in, and we'll actually stamp. I'm going to use some grid paper that I've already got folded up and set aside so that we can keep our table surface clean. And this top, first one, the top, it's going to come down from the top, and I'm going to show it to you in a stamped, no, I'm going to go ahead with full color. I think full color looks great, actually. So we're stamping it with full color. If you want to do stamped off, actually, here, we'll do this. We'll stamp it again. Look at that. Fuller branches. Ooh, we're already making it different than the one sample that I already have done. This one I have coming in from the side. So we'll stamp it, and we'll just do the same thing. We'll shift it and stamp it again. And now we have some branches there. Pretty, right? So pretty. We're done with the stamping on this card because this one, for our front sentiment, is going to receive the hello that comes in the kit. So we're going to put this on the front of our card base. And again, you know the trick, we have to look at the edges of the card base first. And this is where you can see both edges, so that's going to go on this side. Yes, absolutely. Mary said if you miss something, you can always go back and rewatch it when it's done. Just rewind, right? What about a cat? Expected cats grabbing them. I used to have cats. Oh, I miss my kitties. Okay, so now we're going to use this piece. And what does this come from? This comes from a sheet. And each set of cards has one of these sheets. These are the sentiment pieces that are, or not sentiment pieces, but paper strips that come out of them. And then you end up with this frame, which is actually discarded in the actual cards that you make. You're just using those strips. But we're going to use this frame. So this frame can be added, and we're going to do that with the help of dimensionals. So I'm just going to come in here, and I've already got a few that are cut in half here. I'm just going to cut through all these dimensionals so I have half dimensionals. So I'm cutting them in half so that they're narrower. And you could use like smaller dimensionals, but I still think that it's going to give you, they're still going to be a little too big. I think you have to use like really thin strips in order for this to work. So then we just put on little dimensional sections, and you can put them wherever you want. They can go in the middle. I don't think on my sample when I have them in the middle, but feel free to put them in the middle. Kind of lift up everywhere if you want to. I think I'm going to put some on the side. And then we also have some silver paper that we're going to put on here before we stick this all the way down. Okay, I probably could have even cut them narrower, but you can see that they fit within. Now we're going to grab a smaller silver piece that's 4 1/4 inches wide. I'm just going to trim off a little bit because I kind of want it to be 4 1/8. And we're going to put that behind here So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put some adhesive here. I'm going to be very careful because you don't want to smear any glue beyond foil. The glue will stick to the foil, but if it goes outside, it will not come off very easily. So we're going to take and flip this over. This is the one that has the glue. Where is it? Right there. Okay. And we're just going to come right down on top of this and catch it and hold it for a while. So now we have some silver on there. What is your favorite color? The kit color cards? The colors in this kit. Oh, yeah, coral. I have a coral computer, so my favorite colors too. And then the aqua colors, love aqua. Oh my gosh. I'm not so much a fan of gray. But when it's silver, it works really well. That's probably why I added the silver foil, right? So now after that's on there, we're going to take and peel off the backings on the dimensionals. And we're going to add this frame to the front of the card. And if you trim this down, like I did, you won't see the edging sticking out like you will see on my first card. So on the first card, I think I went a little too big with my bottom sheet. This piece is going to go on here now, and we're going to put a couple dimensionals back here. Do I still have some? I do. Let's just do this. We'll put one here. We'll put one here. And we'll stick those back on that sheet. Okay, so I have a couple that are at the very top here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive, regular adhesive, right through here so this sticks and can go against this area here. And we're going to stick that down in the middle like that. So we have a hello card. And you could put embellishments on here too if you wanted to. You could put some, rhinestones and that sort of thing. This card would also receive the inside of the envelope, and it ends up looking like this. I stamped the inside layer. This one doesn't have as much of the branches, but same idea. So you can decide if you like more branches, lighter branches. So there's that third card. For the fourth card, we're going to use the gray envelope, and we're going to cut it a little differently. This time we're not cutting off the bottom. Instead, we are going to cut a straight edge here. I'm going to flatten that out. So I'm putting the edge of my envelope up against the top edge of the trimmer, and I'm going to cut real straight here to cut that, to mark that straight edge there. The 2 layers that we are using for these cards measure just under 2 3/4. So let's first cut in this direction actually. So we're going to go edge to edge on our card. We're going to have a horizontal card, and from edge to edge here, we're going to have 5.5 inches. So we want to cut this to 5.5 inches. That's why we didn't have to cut the bottom off, because you could technically use all of that if you wanted to. Then we're going to rotate, and we're going to trim here to flatten that out. We're going to turn it around this way so we can see the measurements. We're going to go to 2 5/8, I believe. Let me measure that again over here. Yes, 2 5/8. So 2 5/8. And then another 2 5/8 should give us, oh yeah, see, we'll have to go a little shorter because I went too close. 2 5/8. So we're going to go to 2.5 here. We can make them both 2.5. Let's just do that. 2.5, so no confusion's caused. My other ones will be slightly bigger, but 2.5 should work too. Okay, so we have 2.5 and 2.5. One of them we're going to rotate this way. The other one we're going to rotate that way. We're going to make 2 different cards. For one of the cards, we're going to stamp our sentiment onto one of these strips here. Actually, we're going to do that for both. Sorry. Let's just bring this in, the dark background again. Thank you. Okay, so we have a stamp from the set that says, "I'm always here for you. let's use the kit color, which is gray granite. And we're going to ink that and stamp that off to the right here. And then we're going to use a sentiment that is not in the kit, but it's in that stamp set, that extra stamp set called Sending Salutations. So here I'm proposing more sentiments so that you can have more of a variety. And this one says, I'm here for you. This one says, I'm always here for you. And this one says, I'm here for you. And we're going to stamp that left justified on that strip. You're going to use twine from the kit on these two cards that I'm going to share with you. So you're going to use 15 inches on one and 15 inches on another. So here's our 15 inches. For one card, you're going to fold it, fold the twine, and then you're going to take and do a bow with the folded twine. So it's like you're using two strands here. Okay, we're going to do that again because that was not there. That's better, I think. Okay, now we have more of an even looking bow. Okay, so here's my little loops. I'm going to cut this. So it's basically two things of thread or twine that are looped together as if they're one to make a double bow. And then you can take and adjust. You can adjust the individual loops. You can adjust the individual tails so that you have different sizing on your loops and tails. And now you're going to have two different bows. Where's my other one? Here it is. Okay, we have two of those. And then this piece gets cut into two. So it normally looks like, and I have it here, it normally looks like this, but you're going to cut it into two pieces by separating it right here. So you're going to cut right in that spot to make two different branches. One will go with one card, and one will go with the other. So they're positioned like that. You're going to glue, of course, the stems on here. You're going to curl up little leaf pieces. So how you do that is you take your bone folder and you kind of like run your bone folder in kind of a curved direction, and it will curve the leaves. So it gives it a little bit of lift to the card. So again, you glue those on here. Then these are going to get flipped over, and you're going to add dimensionals to the back side. You're going to add the twine to the end of the stems, like that. And it's going to turn out to look like these two cards. Okay, so one, like I said earlier, one side, here they are. One of the gray edges is this way on this card, and one is the other direction. I did stamp some polka dots on here. You have a polka dot stamp in the kit. It's not really polka dot, it's more like speckles. And so to get the two different colors on there, what I did is I took and stamped once, and then without re-inking, stamped again to get dark colors and then lighter colors. So dark and then light. You do see a little bit of the fold of the envelope in here, but it's kind of concealed by all the mishmash of prettiness. And you can see also that I've got two strips. They're not full they're not full sections of foil, just strips. One strip here and one strip here. And those are from our 1/2-inch strips that we already cut. The insides of these have smaller inside layers. Remember, our kit cards are non-decorative. They're just white. So if we have just white kit cards, then you can take another one of these, cut it in half, and then cut each of those in half, and you can get 4 interior layers that look like this. So that's where I got the interior layers for these two cards and a few more coming up, okay? Actually, all the rest of them coming up. So that's how you can do another couple cards. All right. Next. Got to put these in the right pile so I can bring them back in. The next couple cards are using this leftover piece. Remember, we cut that earlier. So I'm going to cut that now into 2 pieces. And they measure 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so 2 3/4. 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. And these 2 pieces are going to layer onto the silver rectangles. These are the silver rectangles that are just slightly larger. So this one, and I'll bring the ruler in here so you can see. This one is 2 7/8, so slightly larger than our 2 3/4. So 2 7/8 by 4 3/8, because this is 4 1/4. We're going to add these directly onto our silver foil, little panels here, like this. And one of them we'll use in this direction, and one we'll use in this direction. We've got horizontal or landscape cards again. For our first one, we're going to grab a sentiment strip that's already stamped. Again, these come from the inserts that were from this piece. So I've got one of those, and I stamped it right justified. I'm going to pop it up with dimensionals. So we'll take our dimensionals. Got a couple sheets here of dimensionals that are almost gone. So we're going to use them up. Use up those edges too. After that's on here, you're going to just center it on from the top and bottom, and then bring it right up to that edge so you can still see the silver. Stick it on like that, and this is where we bring in those extra blue clusters of 3 leaves. Thank you, Janet. So for this one, we'll go ahead and use this piece, and this one's just going to get glued on straight. So I'll bring in my precision tip bottle. We're going to add a little bit of glue here, a little bit through the stem, a little bit to the base of these 2 leaves. We'll flip it over, and we're going to add that. So this piece here is in the corner, like that. And if you want to, you can curl the leaves upward again or downward or whatever, but that's where that's going to sit. I'm going to shift it a little bit if we can. And then we'll add our rhinestones. Rhinestones are easily added with that Take Your Pick tool. If you're not familiar with this tool, it's amazing. It's got this little gummy end here, and you can just take and add by lifting, inserting, and sticking. It's crazy awesome. So there's that. Then this gets added to the front of our card with dimensionals. So we'll put 1 in each corner. And we'll add our card base in here. If you want to get fancy, you can like emboss, texturize the card bases. This would be a great one where if you emboss the background, you'd have even more visual, I don't know, pleasing to the eye stuff going on, right? But I try to keep my embossing and die cutting out of the picture for a lot of my alternates. I want people to know that you can still make pretty cards without having all the fancy machines. There is the inside. This is from a card base. It's 1/4 of a card base. And then this is from an envelope. And then you'll get another one that looks like this. Oops. Oh, hang on. Okay, I flipped these around. This is the one where it was going to be over there, the pinkish color. Okay, so I'll just show you these two because they're opposite of each other. So this is what they were supposed to look like. Pinkish color over there, pinkish color over here, and then we have the sentiments on here in the 2 different directions. This one was right justified with the leaf over here, right justified, but then stuck over to the left side. I'll have photos of these soon on my blog. All right, Next. Let's move some of these unused pieces over here. Okay, for the next 2 cards, the next 2 for our 9 cards, and then we'll have all 9 done from 3. The next ones are going to be using this piece. We've been saving this beautiful piece for the last 2 cards. And I have to tell you, I tried cutting with the regular slicer cutter this way, and it mangled some of the leaves in the middle. Don't do that. Instead, take and put some paper or sticky notes over the top of the intricate parts, then bring in your trimmer and cut it in half. Now this piece measures 3 3/4, so half of that would be 1 1/2 plus 3 more eighths, which would be 1 7/8. 1 7/8. All right, we're at 1 7/8. We're going to take and cut, and I've already got the 2 cuts kind of started here. There we go. So I'm going into where I'd already cut before, and I'm just going to slice through here. It's not cut yet, but I'm going to show you that if you have them on paper like this, sticky type paper, and it's sticking to it, you're going to avoid having all of these fray on you. See how they held together? So now we can peel this away, and it's intact. It's pretty. It looks great. So the sticky note trick. Okay, you guys? There's the other one. All right. These 2 pieces are now going to get used on the last 2 cards. So one card is going to get this piece here, and the other one, because I like to have my decorations on the right side, I'm just going to keep on the right, but it's flipping the other direction. So the orangish color is more towards the top, or the coral color. Then we had one more card base that we haven't cut yet. And that card base got cut into these sizes. So I took and cut it in half. I have 2 interiors for the insides of these cards. And then I have these 2 panels, which are 5.5 inches tall, and go right here. For them, I've also got these strips of silver. So we're going to go ahead and take and add our silver to each of these. So I'm going to flip it over, add my seal adhesive as close as I can to the edge. Kind of got away. Kind of got further out on that, but that'll still work. And then we're going to connect by putting it down like this, pressing in place. See how I have extra? Extra is a good thing. If you have extra, then you don't have not enough. Okay, so we have that, and let's do that to this one. Seal adhesive really close. Thank you so much, Janet. Yeah, we don't have to own it all, do we? I'm glad you appreciate the simple. And I'm glad you think that they're wonderful. Thank you. Yes, you can make pretty things with just a few supplies. Okay, so now we have that. It's going to get set up like this on the card. You can see how that's going to look. Same thing over here. For our sentiment pieces, we have a couple things left. We have one more of these, and then we have a strip in the kit that we haven't used yet that is kind of a medium size. It looks like this. So I stamped my medium size with the "I truly appreciate all you do" and the "Congratulations on your achievement." And those stamp images, just like on the last 2 cards, come from this set. I forgot to mention that. These 2 cards here come from this set. Okay, and so do the next 2 sentiments, these sentiments. They're really great for these strips. There's a lot of sentiments that fit on those strips from that set. So my recommendation for gluing this down, you can either do this. You can take and put glue along the edges and then stick it down and put this over the top to kind of hold the leaf part in. Or you can take and use a silicone sheet and a silicone brush. And the silicone brush, I've just trimmed the edges down so it's nice and stiff. Then you take your glue and you squeeze a little bit onto the silicone sheet, and then you pounce up and down to get the glue on the ends of your silicone brush. Leave this in place so that it doesn't move, and start putting your adhesive over the back side. Don't let it move though. If it moves, you're going to get adhesive on the front side. And then you can just kind of glue wherever. Pick it up, move it off to the side, lay it down on your card where you want it to be. And now the whole thing is stuck, and it's not gonna loosen up. We can take and add this with just plain adhesive going flat. Rachel, you always have too many ideas. I have 3 more ideas, you guys. I'm going to show them to you anyways. I'm sorry, you're going to have to stick around a little longer, or you can come back later. This sentiment is a little long. I wanted to show off more of the leaves, so I trimmed it. I took my trimmer and I just trimmed it shorter. Why not? So we can take and flip this over and put our dimensionals on the back side. 1, 2, 3. Peel off the backings. And we're going to add that right about here. It's kind of low on the card. And then for the embellishments, we'll come in and we'll do a medium and a small and a small. And that without the inside. The inside, it needs one of those layers also, but that is the finished card for that one. Okay. And then the other one, I put dimensionals here and here underneath the sentiment strip so that when I put this large rhinestone on there, it wasn't going to make it real bulky there. So those are those 2 cards. And you have now 9 cards from 3. Very, very fun, right? All right, so I have 3 more projects. And again, I'm not walking you through the whole entire thing, but I do want to show you what I've created with those. So let's move these off to the side. And there we have our finished cards right there. Okay, the next one. The next one I thought was pretty darn clever. So I was perusing around on Pinterest and I saw someone take a branch, and it was similar to the branch that we have in this kit. Okay, so let me show you that branch again. It looks like this, only longer. I don't know if I have my other one, but flip it over. Okay, take and flip it over and use some ink. We're going to bring in the Lost Lagoon ink again, and we're going to bring in a Dauber. So I'm going to open up my Dauber case from the Country Hive. Gotta love this thing. There's my Lost Lagoon right there. Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to take and just kind of pounce some color on the back sides of these leaves real lightly. Lost Lagoon is very bluish, but if you wanted to, you could add some green to it. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to go a little bit darker through the middle, the base of the leaves. So it looks like that. Okay, oops, let's get a little less white there. All right, so we have kind of like, I don't know, we have some bluish green leaves, right? More on the blue side, but still kind of greenish. If you want to, you could totally use a different green. I just wanted to show you how you can use a similar color that's in the kit. I'm just going to grab a tissue because I can still see it shine. We want to make sure it's not shiny anymore. So then you take and you do that to your whole long strand of this. Because I don't have a whole long strand, I'm going to go ahead and just use this piece as is. And we're going to attach it to the tippy top of our rectangle piece that comes in the kit. Oh, that is the one piece I did not use when we tripled the cards. This is the one piece I didn't use. So you have this awesome white rectangle to use somewhere else. All right, so for this, Same idea with the leaves where you take and you curl the ends. Just come through and give them a little bit of life. Flip it over. Let's use the silicone brush and glue idea. Okay, so I flipped it over. I'm going to put some glue down again. Take my silicone brush, tap, 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 and then we'll just try to keep it still, and we'll add some glue. Lift it up, move it out of the way, take and stick this down like that. Okay, we have a hanging branch. On that hanging branch, we're going to add some pearls. We're going to use the Take Your Pick tool, and we're going to add a few pearls, different sizes. We have 2 different sizes in the iridescent pearl, iridescent pearls here. So I'm just adding a few pearls. Trying to use my sample, but my sample looks different, so it's kind of hard to look at my sample. Oops, stick down. I think the ink is still a little wet. We'll make it go kind of go off the ink here. Yeah, it's not sticking because my ink is still wet. So let it dry. All right, so you see what we're making here? You know, this is mistletoe. Then you take this guy and you're going to cut. I'm trying to think of where I cut this one. I'm going to cut right through here, go up and in and around like that. And I know we don't have a lot of white space on this side. If that bugs you, sorry. And then you're going to come up through here. And then you're going to trim. Okay, so we've separated out that little piece, which was an L. And now we're going to cut around the O. And we're going to kind of cut where that O connects down there so we don't see it, the connection as much. And that's going to get stuck there. And then we're going to take the H and we're going to separate it from the E and flip it over. Ta-da! Can you see what we did there? We wrote the word joy. That's where my mind goes sometimes. You could also take and use some hot foil letters. We have this new Luxe Alphabet hot foil, and you could put some adhesive sheets on the back, and then you have these sticky little letters that could say joy on your card, or Merry, or whatever you want to do. But when you're done with that, you can have, oops, sorry, now we're way too close. You can have a Christmas card ready to go in your stash. So it says joy. And this one also uses a little bit more of a greener ink in here. I used Pool Party. Here it is. I used Pool Party ink connected with the Lost Lagoon. So it gave it more of a slightly greener leaf underneath. So there's that. Thanks, Holly. All right. Okay, that's done. Now, let's move on to the next one. For the next one, I was looking at this piece here, and I said, oh my gosh, let's trim these out of there. Just trim these off. And what does this now look like to you? What does that look like? To me, it looks like a sun. All right? So I took and I put this sun against some of the pink, and I don't have another envelope left because I literally have gone through 2 full kits for all my alternates. But I went against this background. Okay, so this paper, and I put the sun in there, and then I added some water with this paper. So I'm going to flip it over though, and I'm going to make it a different color combination right now. let's grab our grid paper again. We're going to flip it over. We're going to bring in another color and a dauber. Let's put our Lost Lagoon away and bring in Daffodil Delight. Daffodil Delight and Daffodil Delight ink. So our sun is going to become a different color. But if you want it to be the color that you just saw, go for it. So we're going to daub, 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 daub. Kind of make it, you know, multicolors there. And make one side a little darker than the other side, because that's the way it goes with a lot of sunsets or sunrises. So this is our new sun. Then we're going to take this paper and we're going to cut the strips to, because we're going to cut some strips from it, sorry. We're going to cut those strips to 3/4 of an inch. One, two, three. If you want to, because I think this card actually would look better with that, but this, I mean, now you have some pretty paper still left. That's what I did with the first one, but I think I'm going to include this initial one because it's so much yellower. So I'm going to do a 3/4 inch strip from that as the first one that we're going to include. And then I'm going to bring in a couple of those like that. Okay. All right. So we have some reflective paper from our pack that is called, if you don't know of this pack, it's amazing, you guys. This is our Scenic Coast paper. It's so pretty. You need some. Especially if you're going to use the sunset or sunrise card idea. Okay, here's our sunrise. So you see how I've got my yellow paper now instead. And we're going to add that to this color background instead of the coral. So I'm going to take my trimmer, which I just put off to the side. I'm going to take my trimmer and I'm going to trim the sides off like we've done. Always make use of your paper in the best way possible by opening it up. And then we'll cut straight across. We're going to cut a layer that is, there it is. So it's going to be 3 3/4 inches tall by 5 inches wide. And now we have a beautiful bluish sky, which you would see in the morning, right? So this paper can now receive our sunrise. And then we have these wonderful strips, if you recall, that are in our kit that look like this. And you're going to take and you're going to lay them against that paper so that you have that white edging. And you're going to put them kind of overlapping each other, kind of like a little zigzag. Stamp a sentiment up here using Night of Navy ink, because this is a nice dark blue. So Night of Navy ink, or you could use Secret Sea. And the words that I chose were from Banner Sayings. And then I just used a sequin from that same suite that the paper comes in. This is the Sunset Sparkle sequins, and I just put a little sequin off to the side, and I made my card look like this. So I will finish that card sample after the video, and I'll photograph it and put it in the blog post that's going to be connected to this. So there you go. So now we have a little sunset, and this will become our sunrise card. I see a question. Hang on. Did you see what Rachel did? Oh, you were just talking to somebody else. Thank you so much. Thanks, so sweet of you. Okay, the last idea, I'm going to zoom out because I cannot be done with my alternates without doing a scrapbook page. I like to do scrapbooking with every single kit. So we're going to bring in the scrapbook page sample that I've created. It is using leftover pieces like that. It is also using some hot foiling. So I did add hot foiling. That's how I got these letters. If you do not have the hot foil machine and you still like this size lettering, you can take and use the cutting dies that are in the hot foil die pack. So it's called Luxe Alphabet. One of them does the hot foiling, one of them does the cutting, so that after you've hot foiled, you can cut them out. But you can just cut these out too. So you can use half of this set to cut out an alphabet. And I kept it against the cutting plate here because then they'd stay intact, because these do not have an adhesive sheet behind them. But yeah, I just cut those out with silver foil. So you can use just silver foil if you don't want to hot foil them first to get that those lines and those cool looks on them. Okay, so I use these, I use those. I use the stencil sheet, this one here, and I fussy cut between all the little leaves to create lots of extra little leaf cut pieces, and came up with this page layout. So here's my LOVE, that's the hot foiling words in the middle there. And then I have 3x3 photos on Night of Navy cardstock in the corners here. I'm sorry, on the edges, on the outside edges. You start with a corner though. That's my recommendation. So you make a little shim or a little piece here that will, you know, fit on the corner of your cardstock, of your paper, and then you stick your square up against it. So I'll just peel this off so you can see what I mean. So you're going to start with your corners. Okay, and you're going to lay your little edging piece, and then you're going to shove it in there and stick it down. And you'll do that on all four corners first. You'll put your adhesive more towards the middle back side. So if I flip this over again, you can see I've just got adhesive here and here, not a ton in there. And after you've done that on the four corners, then it's easy to fill in these spots here. They're just going to go in between. Because I didn't put adhesive right up to the edges of all these pieces, you can take and lift corners of them up and tuck these little leaf pieces under there. And these are the ones that are fussy cut from the stencil sheet. We have a loud blue jay in their yard. So they're fussy cut from this sheet. I have the darker ones up in this corner, and I have the lighter ones down here. And then I've also added these guys up in that area. And I have some medium tone ones in the middle here, which they kind of get lost. So if you want to, you could ink them up first, and then they would stand out a little bit more. You can also kind of give them a curl so that they stick up more too. But once they're in protective, you know, paper or scrapbooking sleeves, sometimes they flatten back down again. These are just little markers that you can get when you get scrapbooking kits from Stampin' Up. So you know, if you want to, you could have white mats there, but these just indicate where you're going to put photos. They kind of indicate where the photos are going to go. So that's that. You can use the silicone sheet idea for sticking those pieces down because they're very tiny, or you can just stick glue dots underneath and attach them to glue dots. My blue jay is like, can you hear him? He is so loud. Or she. Okay, I think I shared them all with you. We only went 10 minutes over. That's not bad. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, or a lot, and we're going to put all of these out so you can see them. If you are not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, please subscribe. It is so much fun. And if you subscribe, you can actually get in on the refill kit that is currently available for this one. It's called Kindred Greetings. And again, it's a refill kit. It does not come with the stamps and with the ink, but you can buy the ink separately and you can replace stamps with other images. And if you subscribe, you can get alternates through me. So my subscribers and my team members get to get in on some exclusive project ideas that I send out to those people. They are free, but you can also purchase them. So if you are not one of my subscribers or not one of my team members, don't worry about it. You can purchase them if you'd like to, and then you can have access to those fun ideas. And this is from the Paper Pumpkin Creatives team. We have at least 16 ideas every single month going forward. It's a global team now. We're very excited about that. Also, if you decide to purchase Paper Pumpkin, I recommend purchasing at least a 3-month collection of them. It's called a prepaid, because then you can earn, with an order that's over $50, you can earn access to my Paper Pumpkin or my All-Star Video Class bundle, and you can get a loyalty point. So any order that you place through me, you can get loyalty points collected for every 50 that you order. Make sure that it's 50 subtotal. Like after you put rewards on it, it reduces the amount. So you got to watch that. Hang on a minute. That blue jay is just angry out there. What else do I want to tell you? So, oh, and there are links to the products in my video description. So if you're interested in getting any of the extra things that I've shared, or the refill kit, of course you have to be a subscriber to get the refill kit, but you can click on those links and you can shop through them. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Can you guys hear that bird? Can you hear him or her? Question, how big is the shim for the corner? Oh yes, I forgot to tell you guys that. Thank you for asking. It is 1 1/8 inches. I'll bring that back in so you can see. So 1 1/8 in that direction, 1 1/8 in this direction. So what I did is I just took a rectangular piece and I put it in my trimmer. I put it in my trimmer like this at 1 1/8, and then I trimmed up, and then I lifted and I put it at 1 1/8 in this direction, and I trimmed up. And where those two cuts met was where I got my little L here, okay? L bracket, my little L. And all of the photo mats, the blue ones, are 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. Other questions, shout them out. Your male blue jay is molting right now, and it's not pretty. His head looks like a vulture. Oh, interesting. So you have a resident one that you check out all the times. Could you hear him, you guys, or her? I don't know what it is, but I have an app now where you can tell what kind of bird it is, and I know that's a blue jay now. I love blue jays. I call mine Sir Bossy Pants. Debbie, you're funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the reminder, Heidi. Yes, if you want to give the thumbs up, that would be great. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else. There is a paper sale going on right now. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this paper right here in the background. You gotta get your hands on this now, this month. This month it is 15% off because it's on sale. It's part of the sale. I don't have all the sheets in here, but you get 6 different designs. This is part of the 6th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here you can see there's that sheet that we just used. And then the flip sides of those are black and white. There they are. Oops, I guess this one is on the other. Okay, I was showing you the other side of that, but there's the flip side of that one and the flip side of that. So there's the one. Let's see here. I have some duplicates in here. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, because these two are the same. There it is. I guess I didn't have just 6 sheets from that pack, but believe me, you get 6 double-sided designs, 2 of each, 12 in a pack, and it's 15% off this month. There's also cardstock on sale, so you'll want to go shopping. Click on the link for shopping and check out the sale going on. We have some September release products that are coming up September 1st. So in future lives, I'm going to be showing you some of those newer products. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the calendar so you can see what I have coming up. I want to apologize one more time. I know I've apologized like 4 times already, but I'm so sorry that I forgot to put the time in this live link when I set it up on my YouTube channel. But yes, today at 4. Sundays are at 4 and Wednesdays are at 2 p.m. These are Central Time. So you can see that the next one coming up is Wednesday, the 26th of September at 2 p.m. I'm going to be showing you some, I believe, hot foiling ideas. And then on the 30th, some September release stuff. We're going to have lots of fun with things that are going to debut soon. And my members live for my YouTube channel members that support my channel at the $5.99 level, you have an extra live coming up right after this one. So you don't even have to go anywhere or set aside an extra day. Just go get a drink of water and come back and check out the members live. And then you can see they just keep going 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4 throughout the upcoming weeks. So trying to stay super consistent. Any questions? I'm not seeing any questions, you guys, so I think that we're good. You could hear the bird. Thank you for confirming. That nasty bird. Oh, Terry says she couldn't. Okay, well, some of you could, some of you couldn't. That's it. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much for joining me. I guess that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed all these ideas. I will finish up the projects. I'll post them on my blog by tonight, so you can see photographs of all of them and enjoy them in that way as well. Thank you all for joining me. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.